something you'll be interested in. Those performance upgrades we discussed after the last race. They're on the car and the data looks promising. Take a look at the details.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2017 career mode, episode number 105 today for the Spanish Grand Prix in Season 6. If you have missed the last one, which was the Russian Grand Prix 104, be sure to go check that one out before you see the rest of this one. Really great episode for us, of course. Not going to spoil it, but, you know, really awesome one. And coming to the Spanish Grand Prix now, we've got a weight redistribution upgrade that's been added to the car, and hopefully that's going to start to solve some of the kind of mystery niggles and issues I've been having with this, Mercedes car. You know, it just feels out of balance, and hopefully that exact upgrade, which is meant to rejig the balance basically of the weight of the car, how it's distributed along the car, hopefully that will help towards it. Obviously the Spanish Grand Prix around the Circuit de Catalunya is a very chassis driven circuit basically. You see a lot of the time it's very 2x2 sometimes, almost like Noah's Ark in qualifying, because the car is very much the limiting factor, whereas kind of stark contrast somewhere like Monaco where the driver is the kind of deciding factor. So we'll see really. I guess I've said this since China, almost since China, that was the real test. You know, Australia was a very different circuit. We went to China, that was a little bit, you know, hit and miss. Obviously we had the altercation with Hamilton, then going to the Bahrain Grand Prix, that's always my bogey circuit, and then Russia, well, we went there, it's been enough into the episode, I'll say it now, obviously we went there and won the damn thing, so it's been a very up and down, you know, season really so far. So I've yet to really see honestly where we actually lie in this championship, whether we're going to be in the fight, whether we're not, where, you know, how much time do we actually have to make up on the other cars. It's very clear the Mercedes car is not as fast as the Red Bull or the Ferrari, or even at sometimes the Force India or Renaults, but there's also been some up and downs with either of them. You know, the two Red Bull cars haven't been exactly performing as they should be doing. We've seen Vettel win two races. The Renaults have been woefully underperforming to where their car is, so I just don't know. So going into this episode, hopefully we get some more answers, but I don't think we'll even be answering the complete the question quite yet in this episode. But you can see as we moved on into qualifying, unfortunately it is raining. We're on intermediates, and that is always a tricky situation with myself because I'm not that great in these conditions. We go across the line then, and we have to go for a second flying lap to improve our lap time in Q1, and eventually we do get it through, obviously P11, but you can see we are down the order in P11 only. Hamilton though was only P8, so that kind of gave me a little bit of solace of maybe that was where the car was. In Q2 we went for another flying lap. You can see the Q2 second flying lap was a little bit less of an improvement compared to Q1. You know, you can see the delta time hopping from red to green, and on the exit of corners I'm just about getting back in the green, so it ended up actually being the second flying lap was only marginally better than the first one, so that was already the kind of indication that maybe I'm hitting that kind of barrier of where I'm going to be in qualifying, and we only just about make it into Q3. Then you can see P9 just ahead of Jolyon Palmer, and Hamilton that time really stepped up in Q2, so that got me a little bit worried. But then as we moved into Q3, we improved our lap time from Q2, but obviously everyone else turned up the wick as they always do. They turn up to full maximum. I doubt the AI go full kind of maximum attack in Q2 or Q1, but we improved our lap time and we actually end up being a lot closer to our teammate Lewis Hamilton. But it's going to look like it's going to be a very decent and convincing pole position for one of the Red Bull guys. Verstappen at the moment on provisional pole, but we come across the line P7 then, and by the end of the session it's we're not alongside our teammate, we're one place back basically. We'll be right behind him on the grid. We can see the delta time difference between Hamilton and myself has closed up in Q3, so I was happy about that. But you can clearly see our car, even in the rain, even in the hands of Hamilton, is lacking a little bit, and Hulkenberg stepped up a little bit there in P4 to be behind Vettel, and then another strong Red Bull lockout, although we've seen so many Red Bull lockouts and they just haven't converted it into the dominance in the race basically that they've had in qualifying. So, you know, we've seen Vettel steal first place so many times, so that's going to be the question to be answered for them. And then for us, as I said, P8, I just don't know, honestly, where that pace is going to be in the dry. Spain's been a pretty good one for us, actually, in the Mercedes-powered car. Obviously, of Force India last season, we went very, very well. If it wasn't for a mistake in the pit stops, we would have probably won that race in a Force India. So I kind of take that as solace, but at the same time, we know how bad this Mercedes car has been in the corners, or at least I know. Obviously, it's kind of hard for you guys to tell just watching the video, but I would like to think, I've kind of spoken to other people like Tom, and he's also agreed with me that the Mercedes car kind of did feel a bit weird in the corners. It just doesn't feel as good as other cars, but as ever, we'll be as aggressive as we can at the start and try and see what we can do in the race. Let's go to the full grid, and then we'll get into it.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Daniel Ricciardo starts from pole position today, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Hülkenberg, Kimi Raikkonen, and Hamilton, Perez, and the Mercedes, Palmer, and Esteban Ocon, Sainz, Kvyat, Romain Grosjean, and Van Dorn, Massa, Alonso, Kevin Magnussen, and Lance Stroll, Ericsson, and Pascal Wehrlein completes the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Right, so onto the starting grid. Unfortunately, no penalties then to help us out, but looking at the race strategy then, we're looking at a two-stop, soft to the two sets of medium tyres. Technically, we could start on a different tyre since it was intermediate in qualifying, but I don't think I'm going to be able to take that to the end of the race, trying an alternative one-stop or anything like that. The Mercedes just doesn't have the tyre wear for it, so we're going to keep on the default two-stop there, fill up on fuel, try and use some rich mix of that Mercedes power down this straight, and we'll see how we get on. So here we go to 5 red lights then for the Spanish Grand Prix. Round number 5 of Season 6. As the lights go out, we're underway. It's a good initial start in first gear, then bogging down in second and third gear, slipping a little bit in third gear even towards the left-hand side. Trying to get in the slipstream of our teammate Hamilton, who's equally not had the best run there. Palmer's had a good one on the left-hand side, but we dart it to the inside of Hamilton, pretty much mug him off in front of everyone into turn 1. As we kind of try and do a Fernando Alonso almost of 2013, swoop it around the left-hand side of Sergio Perez, then cut in to the right-hand side of Kimi Raikkonen, our former rival from seasons gone by, down the inside, squeeze him out, open up the steering wheel a little bit there, and go to the left-hand side where the natural racing line is, and we're up into P5. So that's been an absolute textbook and awesome start to the Spanish Grand Prix, up 3 places from P8 as Verstappen leads the way. Then clearly second class half of the Grand Prix. Then it's Nico Hülkenberg, Sebastian Vettel, and then for now it is Daniel Ricciardo in P4 on medium tyres. We go to the left hand side and pull alongside him into turn 1. He outbrakes us, but we go around the outside, keep our foot in there, and we're up into P4 now. So, but that's good to note that Ricciardo is on mediums, and I do believe Verstappen is also on mediums. So both Red Bulls going for a conservative strategy here, whereas Vettel and Hülkenberg up ahead in P3 and P2 respectively, I believe are also on this same set of soft tyres. But that's been an absolutely great start for us, and now we'll try and see if we can catch up to Vettel. You can see I'm on the same straight, but there is Verstappen in first place, but not for too long maybe, as Hülkenberg opens up the DRS from P2 and goes on the left-hand side to try and make a move in the same way I made a move on Ricciardo round the outside of turn 1. I'll turn to the inside for the next corner. Verstappen, though, puts out a good fight there, gets the elbows out, bit of contact's made, but Hülkenberg keeps his foot in there, and he's up into P1. That's a fantastic move for the German, and now the Dutchman's down to P2, and now is being hustled and harried by Sebastian Vettel in P3. A little bit of sliding there from the Ferrari car, and you can see we've closed up right up there to his gearbox in P4, so a bit of a domino effect, and now Verstappen's locked up. That's going to give us the opportunity to have a really good run on Vettel. Here we go to the inside of this very steep chicane here, going to squeeze him out a little bit wayward, a little bit sideways and wayward on the exit there, but we're up into P3, and Vettel's had to concede that position, and now we open the DRS, and we're going to get away from him on that second straight, and we're up into P3 now, and it's only lap 4. That has been a fantastic start for us. And now obviously naturally we'll try and see if we can try and catch Max Verstappen to maybe get P2 in this Grand Prix. But you're about to see it's going to be a bit of a harder task than it was against Daniel Ricciardo. Even though we do have DRS, Verstappen's got good straight line speed actually, and the difference is with Ricciardo, obviously he had dirty air off the back of Sebastian Vettel, whereas you can see on the mini-map clearly Hülkenberg has had some lightning pace on his soft tyres at the beginning of this Grand Prix, and he's really gotten away from Verstappen way out of the DRS, you know, a couple of seconds at least. So that, the annoying thing is Verstappen has clean air, whereas Ricciardo's not getting held up with some dirty air, you know, through Sector 2 and Sector 3, allowing me to have that good run off the final corner to try and chase down the Red Bull car. So with Verstappen now, I'm getting the same run through the last corner, but Verstappen's having a much better run at that final corner than Ricciardo ever did. And you can see every single time now, third time lucky, just closing up into turn 1, but just not got enough legs on this Mercedes car to maybe even try a very audacious dive to the inside. I mean, I'm nowhere near dive bomb territory either. And it's frustrating. You can see in Sector 1, at the end of it on the top right, purple first sector. So on lap 7, where theoretically our tyres should be pretty damn warm by now, we've got a really good sector 1, but then sector 2, sector 3 is now where I'm starting to lose the time as we enter across the line to lap 8. You can see now red lap time there, so clearly purple in the first, and I'm losing enough time in sector 2 and sector 3 for the lap time not to be better than my previous lap, so that's really unfortunate. And Hulkenberg there again showed on lap 8 had lightning pace, setting a purple lap time on lap 8 on soft tyres. So that Renault, I mentioned they've been underperforming. Nico's finally kind of bucked up and kind of doing the job at the moment in the Spanish Grand Prix, but now we come into the pit lane on lap 10 for a set of medium tyres, but we've been held up by 2 cars, I think that is, or 1 car at least, of the Renault. It was just 1 car, and it's bloody Jolyon Palmer. Of course it was. Thanks, Palmer. Thanks a lot. Ever useful in every sense of the word in way. So we get held up, and now we're behind Kimi Raikkonen, and now you can see coming down the main straight is our teammate, and also is going to be Sebastian Vettel. Vettel round the outside though of Raikkonen, and Vettel just nips ahead of Raikkonen. We are now behind all 3 of these cars. Now you would think if we didn't get held up, we probably would have been ahead of Raikkonen, and so that would have put us just about side by side with Vettel. And I feel, not to take anything away from Kimi's AI, but I feel like I could have probably fended off Vettel into turn 1 to keep that position, so we probably would have been not in P9 but probably P7 or P6 if I can count correctly by this point, unfortunately. So now we go ahead and overtake our teammate Hamilton, and re-overtake him basically in this Grand Prix on lap 12 very easily around the outside of turn 1, and now we have to try and chase back after Raikkonen and try and re-overtake him and hopefully Vettel. So really frustrating that just a little thing like getting held up in the pits is going to cost us quite a bit in this race. I should say we're on medium tyres, the same as Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel. Hamilton is on another set of soft tyres, so he's either doing an aggressive 3-stop, Hamilton is, or he's trying a bit of a weird contra strategy on 2 stops by going 2 sets of soft tyres and then hards. But we're moving on swiftly to lap 13, and up ahead there's going to be a bit of a fight between Sebastian Vettel and I believe Esteban Ocon in the Force IndyCar, who's also another car that has jumped us in the pit stop phases. So you can see just how much poor that our pace was basically at the end of that soft tyre stint, and also technically how much Raikkonen held us up and Palmer did in the pit lane then. So now you can see Ocon has been overtaken, and he's now holding up Raikkonen quite a bit here, so much so that we close right up to him, up his gearbox, enough to get some dirty air. You can see going opposite lock on the right-hander then, and in the same place where Verstappen held Vettel up, but Ocon holds Raikkonen up, an absolute treat. Get a little bit wayward on the exit, but straighten up the car and trying to suss out a move as we go up the hill then, climbing up the chicane, and we go towards the heart of sector 3 then. Can we maybe try and dive it to the inside? It's going to be close in 5th gear, but we've made it work. And that's an awesome little move on Kimi Raikkonen. We're going to take that momentum ahead onto the back straight with DRS open around the outside then of Esteban Ocon. And now we're up the order into P6. And now we're chasing after Sebastian Vettel if we can. But that was an absolutely awesome sequence of corners. And now, though, unfortunately, we cross the line up into P5 with Perez making a pit stop. But you can see here, Ricciardo now is back ahead of us. So in everything, even though we're going more aggressive on fresher tyres, these guys have way more pace, even though they're going conservative on their, well, clearly Ricciardo's trying a 1-stop. I would imagine maybe Verstappen is the same way because the 2 Red Bulls of course started a medium tyre, so you can see how much better pace Ricciardo had overall on his 1 set of mediums compared to my softs and then mediums. So that's really unfortunate, and again I try my best to try and close up. We use him as a bit of a DRS tow, and in hindsight that does kind of help us basically get away from Raikkonen and kind of delay any attack from Raikkonen. But in the end, as much as I wanted to, it wasn't ever going to be an attack on Ricciardo. And so now as we move on to lap 19 now, so we're getting into the last third of this Grand Prix nearly, and now Raikkonen is going to come up in the mirrors on the right hand side. He dives it to the inside, we go defensive to the outside, it turns to the inside for the next second turn, so that's probably the better place to be really into turn 1, and Raikkonen unable to get anything. As we move on to the next lap then, it's not only him for company, but it's also the Force India of Sergio Perez, I believe that is, and we're going to go 3 wide down the main straight. Absolutely awesome scenes, and we're going to have to go around the outside of both cars, and we make it work, and that's a really nice defensive move to swoop back around the outside of both those cars, and we had to go the long way around, and Perez did dive it down the inside quite a bit of turn 1, so I was surprised, to be fair, that I got him back, let alone Raikkonen. So good stuff there. And so now we're up into P3 as 1 more person's made their pit stop, but now Perez comes back at us. Now he's on hard tyres as well, so he's doing a 1-stop as well as the 2 Red Bull guys, and we just about get it ahead of him and stay in P3 for now on lap 22 with 11 laps left in this Grand Prix, so not long to go, but obviously we have to make one more pit stop. And speaking about that, here it is, onto a set of soft tyres this will be, so going a bit more aggressive than Raikkonen is in this Grand Prix. I feel like he's going onto a set of another set of mediums, and I think Hamilton is doing the exact thing that I said. He's doing that weird 2-stop strategy where he's going on softs, and then hards, which I don't really get, honestly. I don't get why he would do that. He's going to be ahead of us, obviously, but now he's going to be so much slower on hard tyres. So, yeah, right now, at the moment, you can see why he's doing it, because he comes down the main straight and he's actually going to overtake us, but he's on hard tyres, and I'm on softs now. I'm on 2 sets of softer tyres, and so surely it's inevitable that I should be able to close up to him and overtake him. So although short term he's gained, long term I'm going to have a faster car, underneath me basically for the rest of this Grand Prix. And we're going to carry that through into lap 24, rapidly closing up with DRS now. Hamilton goes defensive and he goes to the racing line actually, so we do it to the inside, then lock up on the right side though, try our best to hang around the outside, get on the green stuff a little bit, that little AstroTurf that doesn't have as much grip, and unfortunately unable to make that move stick. If we didn't get on the AstroTurf, I maybe thought we could have had enough grip to just about squeeze through on the right hand side before we entered turn 3 then, and basically could have opened up the steering wheel and then squeezed them out on the kind of middle part of the turn 3, but no, doesn't work out, so we have to wait until the sector 3 at the end of lap 24, try and set up this move. It's not been a very tidy exit of the chicane actually, but we're close enough now with DRS. Rich mix going, here we go, just nice and easy, be patient. He's got literally nothing to defend with there. Palmer sets us out the Grand Prix. He's actually behind us then in what will be P8 then, so Palmer may come up and try and attack myself and Hamilton actually later on into this Grand Prix with only 8 laps to go now on lap 25 to lap 33, but we're up and ahead of our teammate now, thankfully, up into P6. But unfortunately, the gap is so huge to Vettel. I think this may be where we're fighting for P6 maximum, which is frustrating to say the least, but we're going to have to do the best job we can do with the car and the tools at our disposal. So here comes Hamilton now, trying to attack on lap 28. We're going defensive to the inside, squeeze him out, and for now, we're going to keep ahead. We can see now Julian Palmer in that Renault that did set us up the Grand Prix just 2 laps ago is now right up the gearbox of Lewis, and so he may go and attack Hamilton. You can see in the background there he goes on the right hand side. Hamilton has to go defensive against his fellow Brit. 3 Brits fighting for P6, P7 and P8, but you never thought probably Julian Palmer would be one of them trying to attack Lewis Hamilton, really. You know, it's been 6 seasons and I don't think I'll ever get used to saying Julian Palmer's going for a move on Hamilton, trying to overtake him. But now we move on to the last lap of the Grand Prix. Max Verstappen has won this Grand Prix. Surprising. I thought Hülkenberg would have had this in the bag, but no, Verstappen's won the Grand Prix. We come home in P6, Hamilton P7, so I'm happy we've beaten our teammate there, but as I said, a little bit frustrated, but Verstappen has won this Grand Prix, and I think it's a 1-2 for Red Bull Racing. So how's that happen then? I think Renault have seriously bottled that. I think Red Bull, also to be fair to them actually, Red Bull have just done a better strategy with the 1-stop. They've made it work with 2 sets of mediums and hard tyres. Renault obviously went with soft tyres at the beginning, so I actually think it's a natural thing of the Renault guys obviously made one more stop and they just didn't have enough pace to catch back up that extra pit stop. But again, Renault would be kicking themselves for not being able to win that Grand Prix. But fair plays to Red Bull. They finally actually converted, you know, as I said earlier on, they finally converted that 1-2 dominance in qualifying to a 1-2 in the race. So fair enough to them. But you can see in the Drivers' Championship now, Verstappen takes the lead from Vettel. Ricciardo stays in 3rd. Thankfully, we stay in 4th place in the Drivers' Championship. So that's actually quite good. But you can see how close it is in the top 3 of the drivers, but then there's a bigger gap then to me in P4, so I'm going to have to hope that I can win another race pretty damn soon and that all 3 of those guys finish a little bit lower. Otherwise, it's going to be quite tricky actually to, you know, fight. Obviously, there's quite a long way. We're only 5 rounds in. There's 15 rounds to go. It's a long old season, but, you know, already the gap's kind of, you know, growing from the top 3 to myself. And you can see in the constructors, Red Bull are growing that gap. But at the moment, Mercedes, we're doing a pretty good job to be ahead of Renault and Force India, to say the fact that in general, they've been mostly faster than us the entire time in qualifying and a lot of points during the races. But obviously, with the experience that I have, the experience that Hamilton has, you know, we're able to keep ahead for now. But we lose the rivalry to Daniel Ricciardo then. And interestingly enough, I just want to pause it here. look how badly the entire grid hates me. Like, Ferrari, they detest me at this point. The same for Red Bull. Force India and Renault have nothing to... They don't want anything to do with me. Pretty much going to Mercedes has almost killed my career off in terms of my reputation. I don't know what it is. I think you just go to the Mercedes and then you're just disliked because you're in a Mercedes car. I don't know what it is. But unfortunately, as we go to the end of the episode then, again, just under about, 20 points odd under the amount we need to buy another minor upgrade, which is really frustrating because I thought we maybe could have bought another, I don't know, chassis upgrade, maybe another engine upgrade, maybe first engine upgrade for the season, or just, as I said, another chassis one or an aerodynamic one, but no, we can't do. So annoyingly, we're going to have to wait till next episode to buy one, which is the Monaco Grand Prix. So that's going to be interesting to see. Generally, the Mercedes car with the longer wheelbase goes quite poorly at Monaco, so I'm actually not looking forward to that one, so we'll see how it goes. But guys, if you have enjoyed this one, smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been Aarava. Hope you enjoy it the rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.